O.J Simpson today, crime reading, and obviously this is to do with the murder of his wife Nicole and Goldman as well, and it was absolutely sickening and horrendous. And I remember seeing this when I was a teen, and it was just knocked me for six. It was just so disgusting, and it was so brutal to leave the kids without a mother. So this is mainly going to be a channeled reading, okay? It's going to be a channeled reading. I am leaving my cards out here as well, all right? Just in case I need any backup, but let's just pick one card, okay? So the theme of this, okay, we have justice here. Okay, very apt. So most of this is automated writing. I did it earlier before I made this video. I write the questions that you give me, and then the information just comes very easily, and I just type it out, okay? And then I use cards if I need to. So what I have now, let's check. How does she feel now was one of the main questions here. So she said, you still have emotions in spirit. And I also heard the word anguish as well, guys. And she feels anguish that she will not be there in person for so many momentous occasions, I heard, when it comes to her children. But she will be there in spirit. So this is things like children being born, marriages, things along those lines. Anguish. To this day, there's always going to be anguish there in that respect. So what she feels she's missing out on. Now, as for her feelings on O.J. Simpson, I mean, what attracted her to him? I mean, I heard charismatic, charming, limelight as well, treating her like a princess, which is also, I heard, to reel her in. So it's almost like to reel her in. He was Prince Charming to reel her in. And socially and in public, he was the perfect gentleman. Everybody thought he was such a perfect guy, and he loved her and he adored her. Yeah, bang on. Like, guys, I'm getting goosebumps here when I say that. It's those really, oh my God, yeah, really strong emotions about I love you, I adore you, look at my beautiful wife, she's gorgeous, I worship her, I worship the ground she walks on. And this is all a game, I hear, and it was all for show. It was all a game and it was all for show. And that's what trapped her. And it was a gradual process. It wasn't overnight. I mean, when the jealousy started to happen, she said, ridiculously, she says now, she thought it was sweet that he would wonder where she is. Or if a guy tried to talk to her at a bar and she turned to talk to him, she would never make contact, touch him or anything like that. She could see him watching her. And in a way, she thought, wow, this guy's really into me. So she saw it at the very early stages as completely different, that he just really loved her. And even when the abuse started, she still thought it was because he couldn't live without her, and it's because he loved her so much. And she did really love him at the time. You know, she was madly in love with him at the time in the early stages. So she started making excuses for his behaviour, like, well, he's only doing this because he loves me, he cares for me, he's following me when I go out because he worries somebody might hurt me. She says she made a list of excuses and the book ran out. Oh my God. Like, showing, like, you know when you get an empty notepad? You get an empty notepad, and she says she filled it up with excuses. It's almost like, you know, she's filling in this book up with excuses until she ran out of pages. The book ran out of pages. She ran out of excuses. Wow. Right, sorry, I'm going to read it back in again. Okay. She also says, in some respects, she liked the passion, the roller coaster ride with OJ and the glamour, but then it took a dark turn and she didn't know how to get out as she was trapped, not only physically, I'm reading this now, guys, but mentally too. And even though friends offered her shelter and a shoulder to cry on at times, it was never enough to stop her in her path and what she set out to do on this earth. Hold on a second. Okay, because basically, even though they tried to help her and support her, you know, she kept going back, because she believes now a big part of what she was here to do on earth was to bring to light domestic violence against women. And only a high profile, yeah, God, guys, my arms, sorry. People believe you come here for certain messages and, not messages, you come here for certain things in life to, you know, a certain lesson you need to learn, for example. I'm sorry I'm getting all tongue twisted right now, but the energy is really strong and it's very strong and it throws me at times. So extremely strong. She wanted to bring to light domestic violence against women. She was so high profile. She knew it would be in the media, and only a shocking passing could also do that, to be all over the media and the papers, okay? So now she sees the bigger picture, okay? But at the time, she did not. And OJ was right when he said somewhere, sometimes wherever he is, he feels haunted by her. So he feels haunted by her because she was around him. She was around him for the whole thing after she passed, for the court case, and she stood next to her family. Oh, God, sorry. She stood next to her family. It's really upsetting. And she did try and scare the hell out of him at times. She tried to scare the hell out of him a few times, I hear. But also, at the time, it was never enough to give her satisfaction of the life he took from her. The life he took from her. And only later on did she get the healing from it, okay? Guys, I've had so many random interruptions when I've been trying to make this video, and it's really hard because I've been writing everything down, but at the same time all this information came through. Picked another card here to try and start afresh. I'm keeping the previous information. It's really important to show how domestic abuse starts, okay? Very subtly and gradually, okay? Now I'm going to try and finish this reading, okay? So I can get this information out for people. Now, she says she started to see the response to her death, and she says thousands of calls from women seeking help to escape abusive marriages or partners started to come through. At first it trickled in, and then it was a wave, she says. And some people thought domestic violence cases were going up because OJ had, rumoured to do this, and it was like copycat random stuff. Oh, because OJ's done it, everyone's being abused. No. It's because she gave the power for women to speak up, I hear. And she said she was the fallback person and the scapegoat. So now she's passed over, she can see that she was the scapegoat and make a joke about it, in the sense that she was the one used to bring this issue to light, Whew. And she also said safe house numbers went up as well when it came to residents in safe houses. So it's almost like when this happened, it was so horrific. And she says in a way it had to be horrific. It had to be completely horrendous to wake women up, So now she sees the bigger picture, basically. But at the time, no, she didn't see the bigger picture. She was angry for ages that she was taken away from her kids. But now she sees the bigger picture, and I hear what she was set out to do was to bring domestic violence to the forefront, to the world, I just heard as well. And I've had goosebumps continuously through this reading. It's been insane. Okay. So yeah, guys, I really do apologise if I'm really flustered over this reading. I've never done a crime reading before as such, and it always leaves me it can be very intense. So let's try and keep going. How did she feel about Kris Jenner and the rumours of an affair? Okay. So she says she heard there was a dalliance between them. So she had no solid proof, she had no solid evidence, but she heard the word dalliance. Okay. Now this is weird because last night I asked this question because somebody wrote in and said, hey, can you see what happened with Kris Jenner? And I had dalliance for the whole night, that one word. I don't know if dalliance means a sexual affair, if it's an affair. If you have a dalliance with someone, for me it means like a fling. But, other people are going to know about that. I need to look it up properly to find the specific meaning. But for me it sounds like some kind of affair. But I'm not sure if it specifically means sexual affair. She had no proof. She heard rumours, but she had no proof. That's what she says. So she says she heard there was a dalliance between her and her husband, and she was never sure whether to believe it at the time, because Kris was more of a good time friend. So Kris Jenner was more of a good time friend. And she also felt like it was more to take the limelight. So Kris liked being around the limelight, as we know. She liked being in her husband's presence. She really liked being in her husband's presence. And she did wonder, if she broke up with OJ, if Kris would still be there in her life. Literally, she did wonder if Kris would still be present in her life. She knew she'd still be around, but would she be around as much if she wasn't going out with the big O.J. Simpson superhero bullshit, okay? So she did think that. She thought, it's all about picking sides. She knew she was going to be there, but she did have a sense that she was dying off with her attention towards her. She was taking a step back because obviously Chris's husband, I mean, he was defending him, OJ, in court, for God's sake, you know. So she took a step back because they were very close friends, her husband and OJ. So it's almost like she took a step back after the breakup. She did say, apart from some flirtation and trust issues she had with Kris, she saw that she was really there when she needed her as a shoulder to cry on. So when she really needed somebody, Kris would be there for a shoulder to cry on, okay? But she says the issue was, many of her friends tried to talk her into staying as they were so close to OJ, and at the time they thought a lot of him because he would put on a show where he would act madly in love with her, so attentive, like he would do anything for her. He would worship the ground she walked on, okay? So they didn't get to see the darker side. You know, OJ would also build up this case against her. So if there were any issues before he was getting angry or hit her, he would drop these close lines to her best friends, like, oh, I'm a bit worried about Nicole, she's drinking a bit more than usual. I'm worried about her around the kids, she's taken too much cocaine. He almost acted like she was a risk as a mother and to her children to back up his abusive behaviour towards her, which is insane. I'm so sorry, guys. Like, my whole energy is just... It's hard right now to do this reading. Okay. So, yeah, he just put this big act on. He put this big act on, and then he would gaslight as well. He gaslit her all the time. I mean, that's a classic, you know, behaviour issue when it comes to abuse. But the biggest thing to know is she's saying he was a charmer. He charmed her friends the way he charmed her. The way he charmed her. So even when she was being beaten, they'd let her come back for a week. They'd give her shelter. But after a week or so, when they saw the effort he would do into winning her back with the flowers and everything, he'd say, I'm so sorry, I'm going to get help. I adore you. We've got a beautiful family. We've got amazing kids. I will do anything for you. Please forgive me. I can't live without you. And he would call her friends all the time as well. And because their friends actually liked him at the time, they'd be like, what do you think? Do you think you should maybe go and give it another go? Or you know, they weren't like, get out of there while you can, because he charmed them, manipulated them. I'm hearing he manipulated them. He did the same as what he did to her, to her friends. Okay. Now, does OJ feel any guilt for what he did? So he felt sadness, okay, after the rage died down. So after the rage died down of what happens, okay, even to the point where he was going through court, he still hated her and had anger to her, even when he was going through court. Because even though he did this, it was almost like he felt angry that she had put him in this position. So he still had anger, but the sadness came in later. The sadness came in later, and it was not really sadness for him as such, ego there. It was more sadness for what he'd done to his children, to realise they're going to grow up without a mother. So that's the sadness there. Okay, but the jealousy and anger did remain for some time, that she had left him, and she was trying to make a life for herself socially, and he could not bear to see or hear about her at any social events, that she was doing okay without him, and that drove him insane. And even though he had a girlfriend at the time, because I heard he had a girlfriend at the time when this was all going on, he still felt... Okay, my door's going crazy. Probably because the window's open. Hold on. Honestly, guys, there's been so many interruptions on this reading, you have no idea, just random stuff. So yeah, it's just... he's got so much rage, you know? So much rage. And his bigger fear is this his biggest fear? He's worried now because as he gets older, his health is starting to decline. And he's scared of Judgment Day. I heard Judgment Day here, okay? And he has a fear of seeing her when he passes over, because he does not know how she's going to appear to him. So his biggest fear is she's going to turn up like a ghoul, I heard. Literally like something from a nightmare. That's how she's going to appear when he passes. That's his biggest fear. Like seeing something from a horror film because of what he did. You know what I mean? So that came up really strongly. It's more, now his health's declining, he's scared of it. Again, Judgment Day. I keep getting Judgment Day. He's scared of Judgment Day. But overall, wow. Overall, the bigger picture for her coming here was to bring to light the issues of domestic abuse against women, and her passing literally saved hundreds of women, if not thousands, from their situations. Because if this had not happened, she wouldn't have been able to help all these other women. And again, I hear scapegoat. I hear a joke about being the scapegoat so this could happen and she could help other people. So now she sees the bigger picture. She does feel anguish now and again because, like she said, she feels emotion still, even in spirit. But overall, he's going to get, oh God, he's going to get what's coming to him, I heard. So, I mean, he has to answer for it. She knows now when he passes, he will still have to answer for everything he's done. And retribution. And I also feel this is to do with if he goes and has another life here, it's going to be role reversals. So it's almost going to be, he will be in the position of being a woman and he will have to deal with domestic abuse because of this life here. So it's almost like he will have to have this lesson himself as well. He will have to go through his lesson as well. Guys, compared to my other readings, I'm just sorry. It was all over the place. It was intense, but I'm really grateful that I got the information through. And it's really interesting what Nicole said about how abuse starts so subtly. And she just said a ripple. It's a ripple. It's a ripple in the bigger picture. And then it turns into a storm later on. And this is so weird, right? I'm getting an image of her like at a restaurant with him, and there'd be something with the way she would eat or cutlery. Even if a knife or fork would hit the plate and it would make a bit of a louder sound, it was just one of those looks like annoyance. I heard the word annoyance. So these tiny little things that added up to this annoyance, and then the annoyance turned into verbal abuse, and then it turned into physical abuse. But she said she saw a million red lights, you know, so many warning signs about this whole thing. But it was his charm that got away with it. You know what I mean? He was just so charming. Right, I'm off now, guys. Okay. Okay, and thank you for all the energy that came through today, and Nicole's energy and everything. Just thank you. Bye, guys.